Hello and welcome to Community Forum. My name is Heather Hansen O'Neill. And for those of you who know me, you know that when I do a show, I focus on inspiration, connection, and contribution. And I always have very cool, interesting people as my guests, and it applies again today. And we have someone who's very active, community focused, doing a lot of cool things. So I want to start off by asking you, what activities do you do to change your state, to make you feel better, more energized, more productive, more focused? So as we go through this, think about what gets you passionate, what gets you moving. And until then, I'm going to introduce this awesome guy here. This is Dave Spannaus, who is the CEO of a commercial furniture company called the Atlantic Group Companies. And he leads national and international sales, marketing, and growth for the Connecticut and New York offices. The Atlantic Group is known for its forward-thinking approach. And he says we are aware of the trends and separate out the fads. It's our ability to evolve and think ahead that makes us stand out. I love that. We're going to be talking about evolution and being ahead of the game. And Dave loves hockey. He was a professional hockey referee in the American Hockey League for 21 seasons. And although he retired from hockey 6 years ago, he's still very active and skates 3 mornings a week. And he lives right here in Brookfield, Connecticut. And he is a family man first and loves spending time on the lake with the family. And it brings him great peace and rejuvenation. I love that. We're combining all the great things that I talk about. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So I'd love for you to just give us a little bit more information, a little background on your story. Tell us about where you came from.
I grew up in Westchester County. Met my wife in prep school. I went away to prep school for a year. So we're a high school sweetheart story.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and we've been together 38 years, so we've been, it's been a long, long time. Yeah. But we met in prep school, went on, attended college for a period of time, but I've also been in the commercial furniture business for 35 years, and I've been a professional ice hockey referee. So that's kind of been the passion that I've had is through hockey, and I've been able to combine that with some of my career.
That's fantastic, and it sounds like you're not a fly-by-night thing. You have a long span of time with things, so commitment and loyalty seems to work for you.
I do the best I can.
That's great. Now, as you know, one of the things that I really focus on, so there's inspiration, connection, and contribution. And when we were chatting, one of the things that stood out was the connection aspect. Talk to me about relationship building, because I know that you had some nice stories about how what you do in your life really has a lot to do with those connections that you make, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think that, I've been lucky in life in general because I don't have too many enemies, and I've been able to take some of my relationships over a long period of time. Some of my closest friends are still elementary school friends, high school friends, college friends, and now business friends. And I've been able to keep those connections and create additional connections through that network. Both socially and professionally. So as an example, we spend a tremendous amount of our time communicating with commercial real estate brokers. I see very similar to myself and my partners, in particular my partner here in Connecticut as it relates to Connecticut. We're a bunch of athletes. The brokers are a bunch of athletes. So we kind of look at it as a bunch of guys that get together, have like interests, and not just guys, it's men and women, but we get together and we have like interests. And we have connection with each other, whether it's family, friends, or lake, or hockey, or whatever it may be. And we kind of like doing business with people that you like.
See, that has a lot to do with it, right? I mean, and that's why you have been doing so well, is that your focus is on those relationships, and the common interest really does build, it builds the trust, because you really get to know each other at a different level. Right. So because we're talking about being athletes, of course I'm going to have to segue into this hockey thing.
Right.
Hockey is one of my favorite sports.
Oh.
I absolutely love it. I actually know what they're doing. So nobody has to tell me where the puck is,
Right.
you know, and I don't need that stupid blue thing.
Right.
You know, I get it.
Okay.
But I really have a hard time wrapping my head around how you can skate and do all that other stuff at the same time. How hard is that?
You know, I've been doing it for so long. I started skating, I'm 57 years old now. I started skating at 6 years old. So I grew up on skates, or it feels like I certainly grew up on skates. So for me, being on skates and what I do on skates is second nature. So I can do more on skates than I can do on my feet sometimes. So it's just something that comes naturally. And you know, my hockey career, whether it has been as a player or onto officiating on a professional level, has evolved. You know, as I've gotten older and matured, and you know, kind of realized that my playing days were over, and that's when kind of my on a competitive level, and that's when I really got into more and more involvement in the officiating world. So
I mean, it's great. You keep in it. You're active, and it must still be really hard because you've got to be just as fast, right?
And we don't get a break, right? So when I was officiating, so I officiated professionally, as you mentioned, for 21 years. I was over 1,200 games. So, you know, during the course of a hockey game, as you know, the players change, the officials don't. Right. So when we're on the ice for a full 20 minutes each period. You know, so we're truly working 60 minutes. You know, whereas a player plays, you know, a player that plays a lot is on the ice for 20 minutes in the course of a game. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's
so
cool.
It's just a different mindset.
And speaking of mindset, I like that you brought that up, because then I'll get on my soapbox here for a minute. Because recently, about 2 years ago actually, so this recently in my lifetime, I did an analysis of my clients, right? And my coaching clients, a huge percentage of them were athletes. Now, I wasn't doing any coaching or training on any sports. It was business related. Right. But they also happen to be athletes. And I think it has a lot to do with the mindset that an athlete has that translates into business. They're willing to go the extra mile. They understand the importance of using your physicality to increase your energy and your focus. They understand that you have to sometimes really laser prioritize to get in everything that you do. So I love working with athletes because they get it, right? And they're willing to take the action. So do you have any words of wisdom or stories or anything that you learned from that world that you carry into other aspects of your life?
Absolutely. You know, for me, everything is about team. I've been a team athlete my entire life. Hockey, soccer, lacrosse, whatever sport it was always a team sport. So the principles that I have in business are the same principles in, you know, developing a business team, a sales team, an organization that supports a sales effort. I look at it the same way I look at building a hockey team. I coached, I've officiated, I obviously played. So, you know, I apply a lot of my thinking to the players that I have on my business team to the same way I, you know, picked players for my hockey team. So as an example, you know, you need a good goalie. So you need that person that's a backstop. He's, you know, the backbone of the organization. You know, and you know, in my Connecticut office, I'll use that as an example. I have my president in the Connecticut office. He's the backbone. He's the guy that, you know, gets it done on a regular basis. He works harder than everybody else, and I have really hardworking professional people, but that's kind of the guy that he is. Then I have a project management team that fits in different roles. If, you know, we have a certain personality with a specific client, we may have, you know, one of our senior PMs fit that person's personality better than the next.
Right.
Same way you put, forwards on your line. You've got muckers, that kind of go in the corners and dig the puck out, and they're, get a little dirtier. We have defensemen that are, good stay home, solid, performers on a day in, day out basis. And we have that in our project management staff, and we've got certainly a really senior group of people that have evolved together and have learned to kind of support each other, take care of each other, and work together for the common good of the group.
That's fantastic. I love that. And one of the things that you mentioned, I talk about and I think about and I try to use often, and that is understanding the different personality styles and really being able to utilize a person within the right role as far as skills, but personality as well. And so in working with DISC, have you ever worked with DISC?
No.
No, okay, so it's a fun way to help people understand the different ways that people communicate, and how to somehow adapt a little bit to communicate more effectively. But you're naturally doing that because you've got a team of people that have different personalities, and you're recognizing that maybe this person is someone that needs more details and more specifics and the graphs and the pictures and all of that stuff, and maybe somebody over here just wants to know the results and wants to go out to lunch afterward and kind of feel that bonding and rapport. So you're going to give them two completely different people.
Exactly.
So that's interesting. I just find that fascinating. I find personalities and the way that we behave and how we can adapt our behavior to be more effective fascinating.
Right.
So you just do that naturally.
Well, I think it also comes from training, right? So as a player, as an official, as a coach, you kind of adapt who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. So I've learned to become a coach more than being a player. So earlier in my career I was more of a player, if you will, meaning I was someone that was the sales guy, right? And then now my job is to manage and not that I'm not selling on a regular basis, but it's also to mentor the next group of people that will carry the business forward after I'm gone. So if they're not prepared and I haven't done a good job of training them at this point, and I'm on the back nine of my career, I'm not on the front nine of my career any longer, I'm best served, and it's more rewarding to watch them evolve into these super great business people.
That reminds me of a story that I'm going to ask you to tell. And it combines the athlete side and the mentoring side and the basis of character and values that you try to instill within your organization. So tell me about this person that had to take a little hiatus. The baseball.
Our new youngest salesperson. It's a great story. So we have a young salesperson that joined us in July. He's actually my partner's son. We've kind of been working with him on a daily basis. I've been personally working with him to kind of train him, in the sales process and networking and prospecting and all of those things that we do in the sales world, right? And, and out of the blue, he had played collegiate baseball at Rutgers University, Hofstra University, excuse me. And I was a Division I third baseman, and then didn't get drafted, so he didn't think that, he kind of thought his baseball career was over, came to work with us. And then about a month ago, he got out of the